All right. Hello and welcome everyone to Maximize Lead Gen Productivity with AI. I'm your host, Dave Meyer, and together with the Professional Sales Association of Minnesota, I'm delighted to give you this replay from this morning's event on April 5th. If you missed today's event, we are replaying this because we had a little bit of technology issues. And so would like to, of course, reconnect and do this all over again. So this one will be faster. We had a bunch of wonderful questions and just wanted to, go back and revisit how all of this stuff works. So without further ado, let's connect up and we will get started. I'm just working on the screen sharing here and I believe I am set. So let's get started. Welcome to Maximize Lead Gen Productivity with AI. I am your host for the next 45 minutes or so, Dave Meyer. And here's a little bit about me and about what my company, BizzyWeb, does. We are a sales enablement agency, and we work with B2B services and manufacturing companies. We help you drive leads, bring new leads in, and automate them via choose your own adventure connections using tools like CRM and advertising. And what we do and where we focus is in the Midwest, again, with B2B companies, probably on the small to mid-size, probably that $5 to $100 million business. And if you know of anyone that needs help driving those leads, that's the end of our ad. We'd love to chat. Let's get started with talking about how AI works and what it does. First, don't be afraid of AI. It's not going to replace salespeople, but salespeople who use AI are going to ace out those that don't. It's just a simple fact that the more help you have and the more ways you have to be successful, to approach things more creatively and differently, and to speed up your workflows, the better off you're going to be. With all of that and all the power of AI, however, you do need to remember that you are the expert whenever you're generating content using AI. There is accuracy problems with AI. I'm going to show you some examples of that. There's copyright concerns in connections, and there's the difficult or the issues with plagiarism that you have to worry about as things go across. So make sure that you're careful with the AI that you work with, and always, 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 please include a human hand in everything that you do. All right, let's talk about the big guy and really the reason why there's so much interest and acknowledgement of AI right now, ChatGPT. ChatGPT is a language model, a generative pre-trained transformer. That's what GPT means. That has deep learning techniques, and it uses all of the databases and the content that it gathers across the web to generate text responses based on prompts. So you ask it to do something or you tell it some things, and then it generates content based on its grabbing of all of the web into different content, putting it into small buckets or shells, and then rearranging that content in new and interesting ways. So it's a great brainstormer. It's a great content generator to an extent. And inside of the limitations of LLMs or large language models like ChatGPT, there's a lot of things that you can do. The biggest thing with GPT is that the data is a little stale. The data cutoff is April 2023 versus September 2021 on what it used to be. So with 4 Turbo, you have data that's about a year old now. GPT 3.5, the free version, is probably still around September of 2021, so it's getting up there in age. So if you're asking it for new things, that's part of the issues. So let's try show anyway, reload here. Show anyway. There we go. So as we go through the content today, I'm going to be loading up different slides and examples. And if it feels worthwhile, I'm going to show a couple of other screens. So do be sure to follow along with this. So here's an example of ChatGPT. I asked it to create a table showing the 5 most popular social media platforms, including demographics. I wanted primary age group, gender distribution, key demographic locations, and primary user activity. And then it created this beautiful little table that has all kinds of data in it. Now, I have not verified if all of that data is actually correct, but it's pretty impressive and powerful that it was able to create an entire table that's copy and pastable that I can use inside of content. Now, again, I'm not positive, and I know that this data is at least a year old, so Facebook's primary user age group might not be 25 to 34 anymore. The gender distribution might be different, and as well as the primary user activities. But that's probably pretty good data. So, and it says up to 2021 right there. So it's giving us some words of warning as to where we are. Google Gemini is Google's answer to ChatGPT. Google's been working a lot on all kinds of things around AI. And if you've heard of Google Bard was rebranded Gemini under the overall umbrella that all of Google's AI tools are. So it had this overall umbrella called Gemini, and Bard was underneath it. And about 3 months ago, Google actually just said, you know what, psych, we're just kidding. We're just going to call everything Gemini now. So very helpful and interesting tool. It's Google's AI assistant and it lets you ask text-based questions. It also lets you upload images with Google Lens and get Google search in images in responses. There's also a really neat little tool that I'm going to show you in a minute called Google It that lets you fact check your content. And you can search your Google Workspace or your Gmail Docs and Drive to get data and information. So very, very interesting and very fun. In Gemini, I've asked for give me a summary of the emails I've received about my September 21st event with a South Dakota account that I'm working with. And it says, you've received 2 emails about your event with AAF South Dakota, and here it is. So this confirms your participation, and email 2 is the agenda. So 9 to 9:30 is welcome and opening, 9:30 to 10, keynote speaker, blah, 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 and puts everything through there. And it says it's a one-day event that's held at the Sioux Falls Convention Center. I'll be giving a keynote speech on the topic of artificial intelligence. Isn't that wonderful that it came up with all of that? However, big, big, big warning here. Copyright issues, bias, and hallucinations. What you just saw was a brilliant example of a hallucination. Google made everything in that email up. It was actually a lunch event. It was on September 21st. They got that right, but it was at a different place, different agenda, and I was the only speaker for that entire event. It was a luncheon. So you need to very much be careful of false indicators as well as copyright issues for obvious reasons. Google and other places, all the other LLMs, they pull together content from all over the web, and there's lots of interesting legal stuff happening right now, lawsuits from authors and content creators that feel like these large language models are grabbing their content and using it without attribution and certainly without payment to get content. There's also bias inherent in all of these tools. They were written by a particular kind of person, a slightly nerdy, probably tending white, probably tending to early middle age, that built all of these tools. So it's not as inclusive and as respective of all watchwords and or different perspectives as it could be. And Gemini is actually pivoted, some would say a little bit too far in the other direction. And some of the things that it gives you are a little too cagey and just won't share anything because Google has identified a number of third rails that it just won't touch. So if you ask Google to describe the founding fathers of the country, it'll go into a somewhat cagey kind of, it was George Washington, but he was either a good guy or a bad guy, depending on your information and your background. So it's a little interesting, and you need to digest and to translate content from any of these tools so that it makes the most sense for you and that it's factually inaccurate. So here's a little side by side between ChatGPT and Gemini because they're the two biggest. GPT is generally better for creative writing. It stores previous conversations inside of its accounts, and it offers plugins and integrations with popular sites and apps. This is one of the things I'm most excited about all of these tools, and I'm going to show you an example of a brilliant integration with ChatGPT in ChatSpot in a little bit. Gemini has a user-friendly interface. It's better for research generally because it's up to date and it can find current information such as recent events. It also lets you summarize and optimize web pages rather brilliantly. As the world's largest search engine, you would imagine that Google, aka Alphabet, is very good at helping you optimize your content. And so that is one of the things that I love using Gemini for. In general, these are some of the best uses of AI, period. And so if you're looking for help with topic inspiration, brainstorming different things like I need a list of potential audiences for XYZ event, or describing your product or service and coming up with new and interesting ways to approach that audience, that's wonderful. Outlining complex ideas, going to and grabbing content or data from some subset and having it give you information back. We talked in our in-person event this morning about tools like Fathom.video. Fathom is a meeting recorder that does a brilliant job of AI reconciling and reviewing, where it'll actually come up with the main points of any given content or topic, what the next steps were, what the concerns or objections were, and the general tone and feeling of the meeting. That's all stuff that you don't have to take notes on anymore. You want to verify those notes right after the meeting is done, but that tool, Fathom.video, is free. So worth trying out if you haven't tried it before. Also, if you have writer's block, of course, it's brilliant to just have a little robot in your ear telling you what you might want to consider to rewrite or optimize content. There's some ways where you can just simply highlight a piece of content and say, can you make this shorter? Or can you make it more witty or more educational in tone? And it does a brilliant job of making that happen. Grabbing feedback and suggestions, and of course, checking grammar or style are all very good uses of these tools. So we've gotten started. I want to give you some ideas at possible prompts to use inside of using AI. Again, these are generative pre-trained transformers. And so as you look at these, you literally need to tell them things in order to get back useful results. So offering background and context in every prompt. You are a sales professional in the marketing industry and you're looking for more people in your ideal profile. So you're looking for, in our case, Millie Marketer, a marketing leader for a mid-sized manufacturer that is looking for help with search engine optimization, automating her marketing, and driving more leads to her sales team. So I would write all of those things in, and then I'm going to tell it what I want it to do. So background and context first, and then you can start adding topics or instructions for what it should do. And you don't need to be all instrumental or very rigid in your guidance. You can just tell these tools what you want them to do. It works with natural language. Wasn't so much the case a year ago, but now you can simply chat with, in some cases and on the apps for sure, you can literally talk to these tools and it'll kick out wonderful content for you. You can ask it to rephrase, you can ask it to summarize, you can ask it to optimize, and that all helps you to fine-tune the results that you get. If you're doing research, you can do things like help me identify keywords and effective content to reach, and again, including your sales persona. Interesting tool to consider if you're looking or struggling with personas is the Make My Persona tool. Go to makemypersona.com and fill out a few questions, and it'll give you a very nice persona to start working with. And ask me questions to help me create a content strategy for your product, your service, or your company. Here's an example of what I asked ChatGPT to do. Help me identify keywords and effective content to reach Millie Marketer, a marketing professional with 5 years experience in SEO, PPC, and email marketing, who works as a marketing specialist for B2B service businesses in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. So I gave that code. I'm telling it what I want, right? And then certainly let's break this down step by step. profile of Millie Marketer. It builds out keywords and content. I asked the exact same question of Gemini, and it's slightly different and also very helpful. So it pays to use both tools inside of a lot of these. And notice there's a little speaker button there. You can actually have Gemini read you content and you can speak to it as well. So keywords to reach Millie Marketer, I asked it for keywords and it's giving me keywords. Effective content to reach Millie Marketer, content about the latest marketing trends and best practices, case studies of successful marketing campaigns, tips and tricks for improving SEO. All great content that is very, very on brand and on point if you're trying to optimize to get found on Google. If you're generating content, generate a blog post or an email newsletter for your target audience, Millie Marketer in my case, that highlights the benefits of your product, your service, or your company, and encourages them to whatever that specific action you want. Subscribe, sign up for the next webinar, purchase a product, all of those things. Or help me outline a series of blog posts that aligns with whatever phase of the buyer's journey you're in. In marketing and sales, we have different phases of awareness inside of the purchase decision to buy your product or service. So awareness is simply that they know they have a problem, but they don't know who they want to work with. Consideration is the idea that they are trying to figure out who among the people that are possible solution providers they're going to choose. And then the purchase part is exactly what it sounds like. They're deciding that they're going to work with you and you need to get them to take that next step. So help me outline a series of emails that aligns with the consideration phase of the buyer's journey. We'll give you a bunch of wonderful content that you can use and you can put right into your CRM or your sales and marketing automation tools. The tool that we use is HubSpot, and I'm going to show you a few examples later. Here's an example. Generate a blog post for owners of B2B businesses specializing in manufacturing that highlights the benefits of BizzyWeb and encourages them to register for an upcoming webinar, 10 quick tips to make your HubSpot portal sing. So why manufacturers should embrace BizzyWeb and supercharge their HubSpot experience? It's a little salesy, so I'd back that off a little bit. But the introduction and the content that it gives is solid, and it's a great start. Again, this is a brainstorming tool. It's not a copy and paste and call it done tool. For search engine optimization, again, probably Gemini and Google are going to be better at this, but it's worthwhile to try both tools. Generate a list of long tail keywords that will attract more qualified buyers or traffic for your product or service. Help me optimize this post and then paste the post in for organic search rankings. Try this on both tools. And help me write an effective ad using the most popular keywords for your product or your service. Doing this on Gemini because it's the best tool. Generate a blog post for owners of B2B businesses specialized in manufacturing that highlights the benefit of BizzyWeb. So 10 quick tips to make your portal sing. It's a completely different post than the last one. Generate a list of long tail keywords that will attract more qualified traffic for HubSpot consulting services and inbound marketing. Certainly. And here's ChatGPT's examples of long tail keywords. And it's kind of all over the place. If we do the same thing with Gemini, we'll see that it's much more tactical and it includes many more of the actual keywords that you'd want to include. So I'm asking for HubSpot consulting services and inbound marketing for BizzyWeb. And so it's giving me HubSpot consulting services for, the industry, training services, migration services, integration services. This is a list of things that you could put into your ad campaigns or your blogs and have it pepper those keywords in. Social media. Help me generate a social media content calendar for your product or desired goal to reach intended buyer persona. So Millie Marketer in our case. Help me brainstorm creative ways to use social media to drive traffic, increase conversions, or whatever. It gives you all kinds of helpful tools. Sales assistants. Help me generate a list of common objections and answers for your product or service. Help me outline a leave behind sales sheet that covers all the common questions and pain points for you. Take this technical content and rewrite it or simplify for my intended audience, for Millie Marketer. Let me reload this. Interesting that it reloaded anyway. Okay, so here we go. And actually, I think I might go here. And I'm seeing that a number of these slides are starting to get weird. So I'm going to show anyway. And yes, these are getting weird. So I am going to escape and refresh this whole thing. There we go. So if I go back in here, now if I go back to slideshow, it's giving me different tabs. Okay. Nothing is ever perfect, of course. So let's go back in here and pull this back. Make that smaller so that I've got this, and then I can see that. And I'm going to cut this out of the recording because I like you guys and you don't need to see how the sausage is made. All right, so let's get back into email contents, which is our next step. So when you're generating content and you're creating things for your audience and your customers, what you really need to do is help them to get, or help yourself and your clients to get to the point as quickly and easily as possible. So inside of HubSpot and the AI tools that are built into the free version and up of HubSpot, there's just a write an email for me button inside of Google Gmail. So if you use Google Workspace, you can add the HubSpot plugin and you'll get access to this AI to write an email for you. When you click that write an email for me box, it pulls up the content and it gives you a bunch of prompts to get you started. So the email type, is it an introductory email? Is it a follow-up with a prospect that you've already met with? It asks you what are you selling and who you're selling to, and describe some of the content that you want to share in that email. And then the tone, professional, helpful, witty, formal, or optimistic. And you can rewrite anything inside of any content that you touch inside of HubSpot or using any of these GPTs in any of those different phrases. Let's talk about images for a little bit. Images, we talked a little bit in the in-person meeting today that there's a lot of challenges with AI generated images. First and foremost among those is copyright, but a close second is the fact that GPTs and these AI tools have a little bit of trouble generating great imagery. So in this prompt, I asked ChatSpot to generate an image of a man presenting to a large group on stage, and the audience is eating lunch. The one in the upper right that I've zoomed in on is actually pretty decent, and it is about what I've asked. The people aren't eating lunch, and the guy only has two fingers. But if you look closely at the upper left image, it's kind of like a Last Supper style, and it's a little bit unhinged. So you need to be careful. And the good news about all of these is that you can ask these tools to refine. You don't need to enter the entire prompt again. You can just say, try it again and make it more formal, or try it again and a little less crazy looking, or try it again, but make sure they're eating lunch. And that actually does a great job at refining these images. Photoshop has generative fill, which is absolutely magical if you haven't had a chance to play with it. You literally type Jaguar drinking from pond, and it pops a fancy Jaguar in there. And if you have an image that is cut off and you want to expand the background, you can just tell it to automatically fill in the background. This is a paid tool, of course, and there's some copyright issues with generative fill in Photoshop, so you need to be careful with that. Dolly does a brilliant job of creating images. It's powered by ChatGPT, and it's actually the same tool that's used inside of Chat or ChatSpot.ai. So the tools here are the same as the tools here in ChatSpot. But if you want to go straight to the source, you can also just purchase Dolly, and it's a subscription tool. Other favorite tools that I love using and recommending are, of course, ChatSpot. And this is a tool that completely dovetails and connects with HubSpot at anything, including the free version of the CRM and above. So if you don't have a CRM yet for your sales team, please consider just getting HubSpot and then use chatspot.ai to help you do all kinds of cool stuff. If you click on templates on this page, you'll see a number of featured templates as well as all kinds of other things. Down the left, you can do reporting, HubSpot how-to, marketing, thought leadership. Prospecting is probably my favorite one, and I'll show you why in a minute. And or, crafting an elevator pitch or generating an image. Here's some examples of what you see. So find companies in Sioux Falls, South Dakota that use HubSpot. And I see all of these different companies. And with a single button, I can click research that company, and it gives me much more data about the company, or add to HubSpot, and it'll add all the information that it found to the record in my account, in my CRM for that company. Well, similarly, I can do what software does this company use? I just type Polaris.com, nice local company. So here's all of the things that it found about accounting and finance software, advertising, analytics, and business management. There was many more, but I cut it off for sake of space. So chatspot.ai is an absolute must-try tool. You don't even need a HubSpot account to try it, but you will need some sort of a login. Robot of Business is a super fun little tool that was actually created by a friend of mine that helps you generate websites and consultation like overviews of what you need. So it'll help you build workflow automations for your business, or it'll go all the way out to building a website for you. And I think they're charging $30 for the entire website template, which is just amazing. But you go in, you visit, you answer a bunch of questions, and it kicks out content and graphics for you all in one. Easy, I'd call it maybe an hour. Claude is another competitor to ChatGPT and Gemini. A lot of things that it's really good at include, running images and doing high-level coding. If you're struggling with getting great content out of either ChatGPT, or Gemini, I would encourage you to try Claude. It's Claude.ai. There is a free version. There's also Pro for Claude 3 Opus. That is a paid version that lets you do a bunch more. Jounce is a free tool that lets you pull from a number of different templates. One that I like is AI Image Prompt Improver, which is really fun. If you have a blog that you're trying to do, you can create an outline inside of this. This is an app that sits on a Windows PC or a Mac, and I believe there's also a Android and an iOS version, but super helpful. Pi.ai is a conversational tool. So you literally you engage in conversation with Pi. So the prompts aren't just tell me what you want me to do. It asks, especially if you're doing like brainstorm ideas, it'll say, what ideas are you interested in brainstorming about? And then you'll say, okay, I want ideas for a blog post for blah, blah, blah. And then it'll say, that's a great idea. Here's some things that you might want to consider. And then you can click on any of those things, and then it naturally kind of helps you brainstorm and talk through things. So Pi.ai is very fun as well. If you're into graphics at all, Canva has been spending a massive amount of time and investment in creating tools that are AI enabled. So Magic Write lets you start with a prompt and it'll create a blog outline, a social caption. And the best part about this is that it also generates the graphics around it to making it look great right from the beginning. So if you don't have a graphic artist on staff, or if you are a graphic artist and you want to save yourself some time in generating and doing some of the heavy lifting, again, just like in text, generating content and helping you break through writer's block or creative blocks and get right to creation, it's a great tool. We've talked through a lot. I want to give you a couple of advanced strategies and then go into a couple of these tools as an extra side benefit. So here is a prompt generating prompt for ChatGPT. So and you can copy and paste this. Again, everyone that was at the meeting has this presentation, so you can go in and copy this and paste it right into ChatGPT. But it says you're an AI prompt engineering robot. You need to gather information about your users' goals, objectives, examples of preferred output, and any other relevant contextual information. The prompt you create should contain all the necessary information that was provided, yada, yada, so on and so forth. With every reply you make, you'll include a confidence score. When the user submits the phrase status report, you'll return your understanding of the goals, needs, and objectives. Super, super fun. Start by asking the user what they'd like to do. I pop this into ChatGPT and it goes right into the little robot. It says, confidence score is 0. Hello, what would you like to do or achieve? Create a marketing persona for Millie Marketing, a marketing professional with 5 years experience in SEO, PPC, and email marketing. And then the confidence score goes up to 20 and it says, got it. You want to create a marketing persona. To best tailor this persona, I need to ask follow-up questions. And it engages you and asks you additional questions to do so. Super, super easy once you have the template. And that's what AI is really all about. It's about using tools that gather from the entirety of human knowledge and existence and repackage it and repurpose it in new ways. It's not exactly or as good as human creativity and coming up with something out of thin air, because it pulls on only the things that it's able to find in the past. But you can make these tools do some very interesting and creative and helpful things if you're willing to give them a try. So in summary, remember, you're the expert. When you're using AI, you need to be careful for content accuracy, copyright, and plagiarism. And one thing that I did not leave everyone with was upcoming things and references. So there's a wonderful little blog post that I love sharing with people on the BizzyWeb website, 3 pitfalls to avoid with AI. This goes into more detail on some of the things that I covered here and gives you good examples of how to break out of common AI pitfalls. That's at bit.ly/busy-AI. We've got lots of training opportunities available inside of HubSpot at bit.ly/busy-learning. And we have our next webinar coming up, SMS marketing options in HubSpot, on May 1st. Would love to see you there. All right, so that's what I had for official content. Let me go over and just share. Here's the SMS marketing options with HubSpot. So that's all buzzyweb.com/events. If you want to see an example of ChatSpot, here I'd like to generate an image. And so I can generate an image of a man presenting in front of a computer with an audience outside. So it takes just a few seconds, generates that content. You can also see that before this, I researched PSA MN, so the Professional Sales Association. It gave me an overview, and I can add that to HubSpot or subscribe to news about that person or about that group. So here I can see some examples of people that are getting presented to and the presenter. So this guy is behind the audience. I don't know why he'd be behind the audience, but I can use these and download them if I wanted. So I can do that. And then I can just tell it to refine this. So try comic book style. And it takes a moment. And it's going to kick out that same image or that same set of images, but now it's built in comic book style and colorful. So these images are pretty good. These ones look kind of creepy. These guys it looks like maybe a zombie apocalypse. So that's interesting. This guy, he has 4 fingers. His pinky's missing, and his one finger is off a little bit. And boy, he looks unhinged. So that's not perfect. And then, this one is actually kind of interesting, but looks kind of funky as well. So you've got things and you can tweak, and then you can say, make them more colorful. And then see what that does. Right, so colorful images still give me a black and white. So again, it's not perfect. This guy is about to melt into the screen. That's very interesting and kind of fun. If we kick over to ChatGPT, it gives us some examples. I can use, give me, actually, what I should do is go back to my last slide. And if I go here, hit copy, go here, escape out to get out of this. And you can do this as well. So I can make my prompt engineering robot and I can go into ChatGPT and paste it in. Boom. So I just told it it's a prompt engineering robot. ChatGPT, what would you like to do? Create a marketing persona for Billy marketer, an SEO expert at a mid-size manufacturing company. Create a persona for Millie Marketer. I need a bit more information. What are the key demographics? Can you describe her professional background? What are Millie's main goals? Are there any personal interests or behaviors that are relevant? Confidence score 50%. I need more details to fully understand and create the persona. So very helpful, very useful. And finally, inside of Gemini, I can say, help me draft a blog about sales techniques using AI. And then it's going to draft that up. And after it gives me that content, which doesn't take very long, as you can see, there's a little button to double check your response. If I click this Google it button, it's going to go through the content and it's going to highlight the information inside of that account. So it tells you how and why you can actually verify all of this content. So if I click this, it gives me a link to double check that work. And looks like everything here is pretty green. If there were issues, it would show up in red or orange kind of. And then I would know that that's something that Gemini kind of just made up on its own. So that's a super high level overview. And thank you all very much for hanging out with me today. I'll leave you again with this slide. And thanks for your patience, both this morning and with listening to me today this afternoon. I hope this has helped you. And my one request is if you know of anyone that would benefit from either hearing a talk like this and has a organization like the Professional Sales Association, or if you need help with any of these tools, or especially with driving content and marketing to your business and would like help with CRM or HubSpot or website design or any of the marketing things that go into driving traffic, give me a call. I'm at dave@BizzyWeb.com. Thank you all so much for your time. Hope you had a wonderful experience, and we will see you all very soon. Talk to you soon.